Spring is in the air, and that means it's time for the annual Monterey Park Cherry Blossom Festival. Don't miss this year's celebration of Japanese culture with 2 days of fun for all ages. Enjoy a weekend filled with free, family-oriented entertainment and cultural exhibits such as traditional Japanese dancing, booming taiko drums, exciting martial arts, handmade crafts, free music performances, and delicious food. The Monterey Park Cherry Blossom Festival, Saturday and Sunday, April 18th and 19th at Barnes Park in Monterey Park.
Hi, and welcome back to this edition of Monterey Park Police Department and the Community. This afternoon I'm here with William Estrada, one of our animal control officers. Hi, thanks for coming. Appreciate you stopping by. Before we get started with some of the questions that I have for you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here and how long you've been here?
I do animal control for the city of Monterey Park. I've been here for about 5 years. I've been doing animal control for about 12 years now.
Okay.
I started out with a nonprofit agency, the Humane Society, and I worked there for a good part of my career, and now I'm here at the city.
Good deal. Well, today we're going to talk about cover a lot of topics here about animals and such. Just trying to pick your brain and get some information and get it out to the public. So.
All right.
Let's start off with, how often should we take our pets to the vet?
You should take them at least once a year for an annual visit to just make sure that they're healthy, get their immunizations, have their teeth checked, have them brushed. Some of the things like brushing the teeth is something you overlook, and it's a good part of the...
So it's kind of like an annual physical for an animal.
Pretty much, yeah. You want to get your annual physical. You want to make sure that, that you don't have any major health problems brewing.
Vaccinations. What kind of vaccinations are required or that we should get to keep our pets healthy?
You are required to get your rabies vaccination.
That's for all pets?
No, that's for dogs.
Okay.
Okay. It's a good idea to have your cat vaccinated for rabies. We're in an inner city, so rabies isn't really a big problem. But if you live close to the foothills or if you're exposing your animal to wildlife, you want to make sure that, if you had a cat, you can vaccinate it against rabies. Right. They catch small rats and mice and bats, and those are things that are some of the bats are some of the major carriers of rabies right now. Some animals like skunks and raccoons, they're also one of the major carriers. So if your dog attacks a skunk or a raccoon, there's a good possibility that they can get that disease. Okay. And to control it, we vaccinate against it.
Okay. So even if you live in the inner city, but you take your dog on vacation, for instance, you're going camping, it's a good idea to have them vaccinated.
Yeah. It's required that you have it vaccinated against rabies.
Okay.
Some of the other vaccinations you can get are things like it's a 6-in-1 shot. I'm not a veterinarian, but some of the basic vaccinations you get are it's what's called a DHLPP. It's a 6-in-1 shot, and it fights against some of the most common diseases. Okay. Some of the ones that I can name that most people are familiar with are things like parvo, which is pretty fatal if your dog gets it, especially at a young age. That one you'd want to make sure that you follow up with your yearly visit and get that booster every year. That way your dog doesn't get parvo. Corona is a common disease that people have heard of, distemper. For cats, there's also a vaccination. It's similar. It prevents your cat from getting some of the basic feline diseases like cat leukemia. Okay. People also know that there's a version of AIDS for cats.
Okay.
And you can vaccinate against these things. I'd suggest you talk to your vet about the specifics of these vaccinations, and they'll give you a better idea, because some people are more active. So if you travel more, you may need more vaccinations.
Okay.
Or if you stay home and you're not a really a real outgoing person, then you may not need some of these vaccinations, because your dog or your cat or whatever pet you're going to take to be vaccinated may never be exposed to some of these things, like Lyme disease. Lyme disease is common, but that's if you're an avid outdoorsman.
Okay.
So that's one of the things,
So if it's an indoor pet, they may not need as much as an outdoor
Right,
pet even.
yeah.
Okay. But and that's what a veterinarian can do when they go for their checkups.
Right. The vet will talk to you about the specifics of the vaccinations and why you're going to need them.
Okay. Good deal. Is it legal to tie your dog to a tree in the backyard?
Well, tying your dog up is also known as dog tethering, and dog tethering is legal, but for a short period of time. You can only tether your dog or tie your dog up for a 2-hour period in a 24-hour time span.
Okay.
Okay. So if you have your dog tied up for 4 hours, then you're in violation of the tethering law. And it's really common to see people tie their dogs up. They tell you that maybe it escapes, and they can't figure it out, so they tie it up and for an extended period of time. What we would try to do is try to make sure that you understand the specifics of the law and why you don't want to do it. A lot of dog deaths are because they're tethered, and they may jump over a wall, or they may spin till the leash or chain gets so tight it just chokes them.
Right.
So it's to prevent that. The first fine that you'll receive for tethering your dog for an extended period of time is $250.
Wow, that's pretty steep.
So, like I said, depending on the circumstances, if your dog's only been tied up for maybe a little over 2 hours, we may go out there and talk to you and warn you about it.
Right.
But we take everything in consideration. If we can tell that your dog's been there for an extended period of time, there's a good chance that you're going to get a citation for it.
Okay. And that brings me to my next point. I know when you tied them up, you got to leave them access to food and water, even if you're going to tether them.
Right.
How often should people, maybe they don't know this, how often should you feed your pet?
You should feed your pet at least once a day. Okay. I know myself, I like to eat more than that. But you are required to feed your pet at least once a day. If you have a small puppy, they may eat, 3-4 times a day.
Right.
But you want to make sure that your animal has access to water all the time.
Okay.
Okay, that's something that they can't be without. There has to be water available to them at all times. And if not, that's a sign for us to show that the animal is being neglected.
Okay.
And that's one of the first things we look for. You want to make sure that your water is clean. You don't want a moldy green bowl.
Right.
You don't want a lot of debris floating in it, or a lot of food particles from when they go eat and then they go drink the water and then it produces bacteria. Right. So you want to make sure that they have clean water, just like a person would like clean water. Okay. And like I said, we make sure that we check that, because that's one of the first signs that shows that you're probably neglecting your animal.
Right.